Hey, it's Jim. It's Saturday, October 14th, 2023. And so first some caution. I'm gonna talk about some stuff that probably isn't very pleasant to listen to during this one. So I'll try to caution you when that part's coming up, but just be warned, you might not want to listen to it. Uh anyway, I think I've reached uh kind of my final days. I think that my stomach is stopping pretty much. I've thought this before, but many times, because I know that's how it ends. But uh, it's the combination of things this week has made me think that. Anyway, uh, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But I think one thing two things I wanted to comment on is one, it's kind of odd, to everybody else, it's going to be just like Jim suddenly died. Jim suddenly died. When that's absolutely not the case. You know, been sick for quite some time, just no doctors think anything's wrong, uh, which just means that they don't know what they're talking about, which is not their fault. Uh, it's the system's fault because they've redacted this illness, uh, which so you have to give me some poetic license here or some latitude or whatever, but kind of going back to my uh, uh, co-evolution theory is that I was thinking that candidiasis, at different blood sugar levels, it does different things, and so I think that that's even a greater clue into the co-evolution is that it basically when your system's not doing what it should, the candidiasis can keep that blood sugar right at 100, and and when it goes above 100 it starts burning the sugar, and when it drops below 100 it does other things, uh and and so that I think that's just a clue right there that this is co-evolution. So why is 100 the average blood sugar level, or and I think it's because that's what candidiasis wants it to be, and then your body has learned that from candidiasis in somewhere in our evolutionary history, and the pancreas then was developed and started keeping it at 100, and then at some point your system changed and it didn't need the candidiasis anymore to do that maintaining and everything. I don't know. You have to give me some poetic attitude, or some latitude, because we're dealing here with something that's not in science. So, if I'm gone, then there's at least proof that what that I said there is true. So, these other assumptions, I mean, they've never been put forth before, honestly, because nobody would have had a reason. Well, they could have, but they redacted it, so they lost that science. So, it's just not, anyway. So, Jim suddenly died isn't true, and I really think that this co-evolution thing is, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands, or possibly further than that, years ago that would have been in our evolution, but I think that that's somewhere what happened, either with our species or the species we were before or the one before that. I don't know. But then, so here's the stuff you might just want to turn away. Uh, but so what's going on right now is that, because I've gained weight, but that weight I've gained is in salts, and so what you've got is you've got your intestinal tract and everything, and then you got this space around it, and when people would normally retain fluids or something, that's where it would show up. But because of all my cells being apoptotic, everything is shrunk, it really doesn't act like other people's bodies. But what you've got at this point is uh, you get to a point where the so at first, so you go through these phases, and this is difficult to describe, but so you get to a point where uh, fluid is no longer the boundary of fluid between your intestines and the stuff around it. It is no longer maintained, and so fluids get out there, and so those fluids then start leaching out the salts that are going through your intestinal tract, and the problem is that those fluids don't have anywhere to go except through your bladder from the outside, okay, which happens due to the suction. And so what happens is that over time, that fluid, it becomes more and more concentrated, more and more electrolytes, more and more. There's no choice. The only two ways you can get fluid out of your system are, urinating, which has to go through the wall of your bladder because it's not acting like normal, or through your digestive tract, and then it's contained in a whole bunch of concentrated matter. So that's already very high in electrolytes and everything else. So essentially, what happens is this area outside, where this is where we're at right now, it just becomes more and more dense with these electrolytes, and there's nowhere for them to go. And eventually, that concentration, literally, of electrolytes works to break down the digestive tract, because it's so the differential from the outside to the inside, and that's where things stop. And and it's not even a process that you necessarily feel compared to everything that's gone on before. So everything just stops. You don't even realize until you stop going to the bathroom, and then if you don't go to the emergency room, what they said was that it would cause the food to rot through to your aorta, and and once it rotted through to your aorta, you would die instantly. So we'll see what goes on this week. This is my last recording, and so be it. Hey, I've done my best. Please spread my story about terminal onset diabetes insipidus with candidiasis major. It's something that medicine has redacted. And, I don't know, look into it. Make it, it's science, and they threw it away. And at least people like me, I don't know, in just an impossible situation, where if they didn't have my knowledge, they would just be treated as, some crazy person, and then they would die, and then they would come up with some excuse for it. So there's no excuse for it. I'm telling you what it is ahead of time. And everybody thinks I'm healthy. So, it's obviously not true. Anyway, peace. Love my family. Boomer sooner. Will always work your hardest. Learn Chinese. It's the number one thing I would tell you to improve your life. Learn Chinese. The Chinese people have a very united direction, and that's going to allow them to do a lot of things that we'll never accomplish in our country due to our infighting. So buy Bitcoin, folks. And that's it. Jim out.